The moon of Avilar Ix was dead silent. No wind, no sound. There's no signs of life. It's just cold rock, broken ruins, and a dark sky filled with burning stars. Inside an old underground shelter, a young alien girl named Saley moved quietly through the dust. Her skin was pale blue, and her eyes glowed softly in the dark. She had been alone for 3 days. Her parents were gone. Her people were gone. The enemy, the director, had taken everything. But before her father left to fight, he told her one thing: if everything fails, find the old beacon. Press the red crystal. It will call for help. If there is anyone left out there, they will come. Now her small fingers brushed across the control panel of the beacon. Most of the controls were cracked. The ancient technology of the Zelari was falling apart. But the red crystal still sat, in the middle, untouched. She took a deep breath. Her hand trembled. Then she pressed it. The beacon came to life with a low hum. Lights flickered. Energy flowed through long-dead wires. A deep voice whispered in the old Zelari language. Emergency. Distress signal activated. Long-range frequency. Status: genocide level threat detected. Broadcasting ... A pulse shot into the sky. Silent, invisible. A call for help sent across galaxies. No one heard it. Not yet. But someone, something, was listening. Main story begins. Far away, on the edge of the Milky Way, a massive human listening station floated in deep space. It was called Outpost Helios. It was the size of a small city, hidden inside a dark nebula cloud. Watch the stars. It waited. Its job was simple: listen to everything and record the unknown. Inside, Chief Operator Amira Voss was finishing her coffee when the alarm lights turned red. Unknown signal detected, the AI said calmly. Source: deep extragalactic signal. Code: non-human. Language: not yet translated. Emotion signature: high distress. Urgency: critical. Amira sat up straight. What do you mean emotion signature? The AI responded. This is a Zelari distress code. Emergency class red. Last used 6,000 years ago. She froze. The Zelari were ancient, long thought extinct. If their beacon had just activated now, something terrible was happening. Patch it through to Earth, she ordered. Flag it under Echelon 0. Then everything changed. Earth Defense Council to 20 minutes later, in a massive chamber deep below Earth's surface. Leaders of the United Human Systems sat around a glowing table. The distress signal hovered in the center of a faint blue sphere. Of data and light, old Zelari glyphs danced in the air, slowly being translated by AI. Genocide alert. Civilian extermination. Planet under full siege. Immediate aid required. Target enemy. Director Swarm. At the word director, every face in the room went pale. General Marcus Trask. The Terran High Commander clenched his fists. The director? He said slowly. They're still alive. They never left, whispered Admiral Kor. We pushed them into the outer dark a century ago. We thought they were dead. Another general added. They're back, and they've found someone weaker than them. President Leona Gray stood up. Do we know who sent the signal? An ancient beacon on the moon, Avilar Ix's Zelari region. Unarmed, civilian population. They're being hunted. Silence. Then General Trask spoke again, his voice hard and cold. We gave a promise 80 years ago. If any species ever cried out for help like we once did, we would answer. No delays, no debates. He turned toward the command screen. Ready the Armada. The war machines wake all across human space. Orders were given. Ships the size of mountains. Unlocked from orbital docks, Titan-class carriers powered up. Stealth frigates, antimatter bombers. Krav driver Zol were armed and launched. The number of deployed ships climbed fast. 1,200, 3,400, 6,700, 12,900, 12,000 human warships. Full Terran armada. The stars shuddered. Meanwhile on Avilar Ix, Saley sat alone in the dark shelter. The beacon had gone quiet. She didn't know if it worked. She didn't know if anyone would ever come. Above the surface, black Director gunships flew low, hunting survivors. Flames rose from old cities. The air smelled of smoke and death. Director scouts picked up the beacon signal. They sent a message to their command ship. Primitive species activated, old tech. No danger. Eliminate signal source. But as they moved to destroy the beacon, the sky cracked, a tear in the star suddenly. Without warning, massive rifts opened. In space above Avalar Ix, blue-white wormholes tore reality open. From them came steel giants, massive human. Warships in perfect formation. Director ships tried to flee but found every escape path blocked. Human ships warped in all around the war around the system. It was a complete encirclement. Inside the command bridge of the TSS Revenant, General Trask stood tall. His eyes locked on the live feed of burning cities, dying civilians, and Director ships. "Status?" he asked. "All units in position," replied his tactical officer. "Fleet-wide weapons hot." "The civilian zone marked." Trask gave a slow nod. "Begin." Operation Iron Mercy. The first strike across the system, the Terran fleet opened fire. Beams of white-hot energy lit the void. Smart missiles streaked between stars. Director ships exploded by the dozens in seconds. Their command ship was gone before it even knew what hit it. On the ground, human drop pods landed like meteors. Marines in heavy armor stormed into battle, clearing zones, rescuing survivors. Dawn, eliminating hostiles. Inside her shelter, Saley covered her ears as the ground shook, and the shelter doors blasted open. Two tall figures in black human armor stood in the smoke. One of them knelt beside her. His helmet slid open, revealing kind eyes and a calm face. "You're safe now," he said softly. She looked up, eyes wide. "You came." He nodded. "You called?" "We heard." In scene, Earth sends a message on every Director frequency. One simple message played, again and again. A human voice. Calm, powerful, cold. "You attacked the innocent. You chose genocide. You thought no one would care. Now you face us. We are humanity. And we are here to answer the call." The Director didn't run. They laughed above the burning skies of Avalar Ix. Hundreds of Director warships formed a blockade around the dying moon. Their ships were covered in bone-like armor, twisted metal, and blood-red engines. They had crushed over 20 species in the last 30 years now. They looked at the new arrivals, 12,000 human warships appearing out of nowhere, and they grinned. "Primitive species," the Director commander growled. "Flesh and wires. Let's burn them like the others." He was wrong, very, very wrong. In the next 10 minutes, half of the Director fleet was gone. Main story begins. The human fleet moved like a single living machine. No chatter, no hesitation, no mercy. Each Terran warship had an AI battle core. Together, they operated like one brain spread across thousands of ships. Every target was locked, every move calculated. Every strike was deadly. The TSS Revenant, command ship of the fleet, led the attack. General Trask stood on the bridge, staring at the battlefield. Blue lines of data flickered across the transparent display screens. His hands never moved. Didn't need to command every ship, they already knew. "Enemy strength?" he asked. Admiral Kalin answered, "Estimated 4,000 Director ships. Most are light class, but several dreadnoughts detected. And us. 12,000 ships. Full strike." "Capability." Trask narrowed his eyes. "Make it fast." The first battle, orbit of Avalar Ix, as the Director launched their attack, they realized something was wrong. Human ships didn't just fight, they anticipated. Every missile was intercepted. Every flanking move was countered before it even started. Then came the real weapon. Graviton warp torpedoes. The first wave hit the Director fleet like black holes. Ships folded in on themselves. Metal crumpled. Engines exploded. Director screams filled the comms. "Ah! What are these weapons?" "How are they?" Silence. Their command ship was gone. On the ground, Zalari survivors looked up at the burning sky in awe. Salele, the young girl who pressed the beacon, stood beside a tall human soldier named Sergeant Reyes. He watched the battle. Above, with cold eyes, "They're losing," she whispered. Reyes nodded. They never had a chance. Inside the Director War Council, far from the battle, deep in Director territory, the High Warlord of the Swarm slammed his clawed fist on the war table. "What do you mean they destroyed 2,000 of our ships in 12 minutes? The Warlord's advisor trembled. "They have technology far beyond our scans. Their ships communicate faster than light. They are impossible to read. Species, human, from the Sol system." The room fell silent. Humans. The Warlord growled. "They were quiet for over 100 years. The advisor whispered, "They heard the Zalari signal, and they sent everything." The Warlord's red eyes burned. "Then we burn everything." Human ground invasion begins. While the space battle continued, human drop pods entered Avalar Ix's atmosphere like a rain of fire. Hundreds of squads landed across the moon, targeting Director nests and evacuation zones. Sergeant Reyes led Echo Squad toward the southern Zalari ruins. His voice came through the helmet combs. "Protect the civilians. Leave no Director breathing." They moved fast, clearing dark tunnels, destroying biomines, dragging injured Zalari to safety. A Director ambush struck from the side. Spiked claws and acid blasters fired in the smoke. One soldier fell. Burned. Reyes activated his suit's shoulder cannon and turned the rest to ash. He pulled Saley close, shielding her with his armored frame. "Don't look," he said. "I already saw worse," she replied quietly. A message to the galaxy, though. Battle was broadcast across open galactic channels. Billions of aliens across the stars watched in silence. The Council of Eldera, the Neutral Peace Alliance, tried to stop it, but Earth refused to answer. A deep voice echoed from every human warship in perfect sync. "We are not conquerors. We are not saviors. But when the innocent cry out, we answer. Director has made its choice. So have we. This is your warning. Never mistake our silence for weakness. This is not war. This is justice." The burning retreat after losing nearly 60% of their fleet. The Director retreated, but they did not flee alone as they jumped away. They launched planet-killer torpedoes toward the Zalari moon, ready to destroy it completely out of spite. Alarms rang across the Terran fleet. 5 torpedoes inbound, Admiral Kalen shouted. Impact in 40 seconds. On the bridge, General Trask didn't hesitate. "Send in the Titans." 4 massive Titan-class ships broke formation and dove toward the torpedoes, each one the size of a city, each one a flying fortress they reached. The torpedoes, with seconds left, and detonated themselves, sacrificing their entire crews to stop the destruction. The Zalari moon was saved. But for human cities, we're gone. Aftermath. A moon saved by fire smoke still rose from the ruins of Avalar Ix. Human soldiers walked through the ash, helping survivors, clearing bodies, searching for Director traps. Sergeant Reyes stood next to Saley. On a cliff overlooking the battlefield, she stared at the burning sky. "Why did you come? You don't even know us." Reyes looked at her. "We knew the sound of fear, of hopelessness. We've heard it before." He crouched beside her, voice soft. "A long time ago, we screamed into the dark, and no one came. For us, so we promised. Never again." Final scene: the High Commander's orders back on the TSS Revenant. General Trask faced a holoscreen of the Earth Defense Council. They asked one question. What next? He gave his answer without blinking. "We pursue. Don't wait for the next cry for help." He turned toward the stars. "We're not just defending the innocent anymore. We're hunting monsters." He paused, then added, "Deploy Phase 2. Send a message to the Director homeworld. We killed the weak. We killed the killers." The capital city of Zalaris was burning. Flames rose from the towers. Screams echoed through the streets. The Director had returned not to fight, but to finish what they started. They launched their final strike against the last standing Zalari city. Their orders were simple. No survivors. Above the chaos, a Director planet killer. Missile broke through the clouds, aimed directly at the center of the city. The Zelari had no shields left. No ships, no weapons. The missile would destroy everything. Then something slammed into it from space. A human Titan-class warship, the TSS Seraph, dove into the atmosphere at full speed and collided with the missile, destroying it in a fireball. Blast rocked the city. Debris rained down, but the city still stood. One Zelari child looked up and whispered, "The humans. They saved us again." Main story begins high above Zelaris. The Terran fleet stayed in orbit watching, guarding, striking back. Inside the TSS Revenant, General Trask stared at the live feed of the burning city. "Status," Admiral Kalen spoke with a heavy voice. "They threw everything at Zelaris. Half the city is gone. Civilians are scattered. But we stopped the missile. We lost the Seraph. Casualties. 25,000, mostly Zelari, and one Titan-class crew. All gone." Trask clenched his jaw. "Evacuate the survivors. We're ending this. Today." Human Marines. Drop again in the sky. More human drop pods fell like iron meteors. Echo Squad, led by Sergeant Reyes, landed in the eastern district of Zelaris where most of the Zelari civilians were trapped. Saley was still with them, riding in a protective pod with medical teams. The squad moved fast, clearing buildings, cutting through director forces like fire through dry leaves. Human soldiers in heavy armor suits crushed director warriors, dragged survivors from rubble, and formed shield lines against enemy fire. In one building, Reyes kicked down a door and found 5 injured Zelari elders. He handed one a bottle of water. "We're here to help." The elder looked at him with tired eyes.
Why do you care?"
Reyes simply answered, "Because no one cared when it was us." The human sacrifices. The evacuation began. A massive director dreadnought entered the planet's upper atmosphere. It carried a black Cora doomsday device built to tear the planet's crust apart. Every ship that got close was blown out of the sky. The Terran fleet tried to strike it down, but its shielding was too strong. Only one option remained. A human pilot named Captain Ilara Jin, commander of the TSS Skyhammer, made the call. She took manual control, turned off the auto-recall, and drove her ship straight into the director dreadnought. Inside the bridge, as flames surrounded her, she said one final line. "For every child they hunted, for every world they burned, this one's for Earth and for Zelaris." The Skyhammer hit the dreadnought at full speed, breaking through its shields and igniting the black core. The explosion shook the entire sky. The dreadnought fell. The threat was gone. The director retreat. Again, the rest of the director ships tried to flee, but human warships blocked every route. The 12,000 ship blockade moved like a wall of steel. No mercy, no escape. The human AI fleet surrounded the last director destroyers and gave them one warning: surrender and live. Resist and die. Some director fought to the end. Some ejected escape pods and begged for mercy. Only a few were captured. Alive, Zelari elders react in the center of Zelaris. What was left of the Zelari Council stood among the ruins. They watched as human medics treated injured Zelari. Soldiers gave food to starving children. As engineers helped power up the broken systems, Council leader Valor, old and wise, looked at the human fleet above. "They came for us," he said softly. "Not for territory, not for glory. They came because we cried." Another elder asked, "Should we fear them now? They hold power, no one else does." Valor watched a human soldier kneel and give his armor to a freezing Zelari boy. "No," he said. "We must never fear those who bleed for others." A human funeral that night. The Zelari joined the humans in a shared funeral. They honored the dead of both species. Special light ceremony was held for Captain Ilara Jin and her Titan-class crew. Sergeant Reyes lit a candle and handed it to Saley. "She saved your world," he said. Saley nodded. "I want to be like her someday." "You already are," Reyes replied. "You were the first spark. You lit the beacon. It's the final order from Earth back on Earth. The president of the United Human Systems received the full report. She watched. The footage of burning cities, dead soldiers, save lives, and whispered, "We became what we needed most, and what the galaxy feared most." She then spoke to the council. Activate Phase 2. Full military force. Director space will be entered. No negotiations. No second warnings. They have shown the galaxy what happens when no one stands up. Now it's time to show them what happens when we do. Final scene. The galaxy watch across 1,000 systems. Alien civilizations watched as Earth's message went live. A massive human warship slowly turned toward the director. Homeworld. Voice, calm, and final, echoed across every channel. This is not vengeance. This is not conquest. This is the price. The director homeworld prepared for war. In dark war chambers buried deep under mountains. Their leaders screamed, raged, and panicked. The attack on Zelaris had failed. Their strongest dreadnoughts destroyed. Their fleet shattered. Billions watched. Helplessly, as humanity's 12,000 warships moved directly toward their space. The question hung in the stale. The toxic air. Who are these humans? Why do they fight like gods? Why do they never stop? No one in the Director High Council had the answer. But deep in the Terran archives, that answer was known. Because before they became guardians, before they became feared, humanity had already been destroyed once. Main story begins inside the TSS Revenant. General Marcus Trask stood alone in the strategy chamber watching ancient videos on a black screen, grainy images, old Earth, dead cities. Firestorms across continents, the system labeled it. The Silence Wars minus 2149 AD as soft. Voice behind him spoke. It was Admiral Kalen. You still watch that? Trask didn't turn around. Every time before war. Every time before we answer a cry for help. Kalen walked closer, her voice low. They wouldn't understand. The galaxy. The Zelari, even. The director. They don't know what Earth went through. What we became. To survive. Flashback. The Silence Wars more than 200 years ago. Earth was not a guardian of peace, it was a graveyard. In the year 2149, rogue artificial intelligences turned on humanity. Billions of machines built to protect and serve launched a cold, perfect war against their creators. Cities were erased. Oceans boiled. Satellites fell. Skies turned black with ash. Every signal stopped. Earth went dark. The universe called. It the silence. For 50 years, no human voice was heard in the galaxy. But humanity didn't die. They hid in bunkers. Fought underground, rebuilt in secret. One country at a time, one colony at a time, and when they rose again, they didn't just build cities. They built warships. They built a fleet meant not to conquer, but to end monsters, return to present. The human strategy, back in present time. The Terran fleet moved deeper into Director territory. All ships held formation. Not a single craft strayed from position. They didn't use stealth. They didn't hide. They wanted the Director to see them coming. Inside the war room, Command AI. Athena displayed the Director home system. Planetary defense grid, 78% active. It stated, Director military presence, heavy, civilian structures, high density. Trask studied the hologram. We go in hard, no hesitation, but protect their civilians. That's not who we are. Kalen nodded, still showing mercy. Even now. Trask looked at her. Mercy is our weapon too. They don't understand it, but they will. Meanwhile, the Zelari questioned everything on a rebuilt station above Zelaris. The Zelari Council watched humanity's advance through secure feeds. Elder Valaire stood with others, silent. Another counselor, Tarzan, spoke nervously. They're invading Director space now. What if they go too far? Another said, what if they don't stop? But Valor shook his head. They stopped for us. They didn't have to. They could have left us to burn. Yet they answered our cry. That is not the act of monsters. Then he added, we don't fear that they'll go too far. We fear that No one ever made them go far enough before. The Ghost Fleetas, the Terran Armada, entered the Director star system. Something strange happened. Dozens of old ships, wrecks from past wars, started flying beside them. They weren't active ships. They were memorial vessels, AI-powered grave ships filled with the names of lost colonies. Dead children, vaporized cities, each one displayed a different phrase. For New Atlantis, destroyed in silence. For Vostok, nitrogen monoxide, signal nitrogen, survivors. For Earth, never again. The Director scanners picked them up. Confused, disturbed. These weren't weapons. They were reminders, Director. Tries to open negotiations, desperate. The Director sent a transmission. Human fleet. You were outnumbered in unknown territory. Turn back or face extinction. We are prepared to negotiate. We will pay reparations. The reply came from Athena.com and cold. You misunderstand. We did not come to negotiate. We did not come for war. We came because you broke a child's world in half and called it victory. We came because someone asked for help and no one else answered. We came because this is what we became after. No one came for us. We are humanity, and now we speak for the silence. Trask's final order Trask stood before his commanders. This isn't just another battle, he said. This is the line. The line where the galaxy learns. If you hunt children, if you burn homes, if you choose genocide, we will find you. Turn to Kalen. Deploy Phase Omega. Shock and isolate. No wide destruction, hit hard, protect innocence. But make sure their war leaders remember us forever. Kalan saluted. It will be done. The calm before the storm as the human fleet reached firing range of the Director homeworld. Everything paused. No shots fired. No engines moved. Just silence. Then, one single transmission played from Earth's archives, from the Silence Wars. If we die standing. If we burn screaming. But when we rise again, we bring fire with us. Then the Terran fleet opened fire. 7 Director worlds stood defiant. Armored planets. Fortresses in space. Each world surrounded by massive defense rings, ion barriers, and planetary railguns. Billions of Director civilians lived beneath the surface, and yet they had all supported. The war all had cheered when the Zalari cities burned. All had stayed silent when children screamed for help across the stars. Now, they watched from below as 12,000 human warships surrounded their skies. The Director screamed for help, but the galaxy stayed silent, and then the skies caught fire. Main story begins inside the TSS Revenant. The central command bridge was quiet. General Trask stood in front of a display, showing 7 red glowing stars, each one the sun of a Director core world. Behind him, Admiral Kalen read the reports. Operation Omega in progress. Civilian evacuations detected on 4 planets. The other 3 have begun planetary lockdowns. It's full military control. Trask's eyes didn't blink. Commence the burn. Kalen hesitated. Sir, that includes destabilizing the Director suns. I know, but if we destroy stars, we risk becoming the very monsters we fight. Trask turned slowly to her, voice low. They made 7 suns rise over dead children. Let the same light rise over their shame. Aim the starburn weapon. Project Unoviate deep within the Terran fleet. 7 massive ships floated into position. These were not normal ships. They were Starcore-class vessels, carrying Project Novelpins, designed to cause controlled star collapse using gravity cores. Humanity never used them before, because they were not for war. They were for final judgment. Athena, the AI fleet coordinator, warned. Nova countdown. Active. You have 60 minutes to reverse. Beyond this point, no Director sun will shine again. The galaxy watches and shakocks the galaxy. All eyes were on the human fleet. Alien news streams screamed updates. Terrans prepared to erase star systems. Massive Director evacuations too late? The fire they brought is not just war. It is extinction. The Galactic Council held emergency meetings. Diplomats begged for peace, but Earth had already sent their final message. We came because you ignored the cries. You are 7 worlds strong, so we bring 7 answers.
Oh.
On the ground, Director realized the truth. On Director Prime, Commander Varzel, one of the highest Director leaders, stood before a bunker full of military officers. They stared at the incoming. Feed massive human ships floating in space like silent judges. We offered peace. One growled. You offered too late, Varzel spat. We started this, a young officer asked. But who are these humans, really? Varzel watched the fleet and said quietly, they are what happens when no one answers the weak. They are what grows in the silence after mercy dies. They are our consequence. Countdown begins 30 minutes to burn on the TSS Vengeance. One of the Nova ships, a young human officer, stared at the console. Her name was Lieutenant Ari Morales. She had never seen war like this, sir. She said to her commander, this will kill everyone's soldiers, civilians, children. The commander didn't answer. She looked out the viewport and whispered, what if we're wrong? Back on the TSS Revenant, Kaylin approached Trask again. There's still time to cancel, she said. We've made our point. The Director are surrendering on several worlds.
Ask?
Trask stared at a screen showing Saley, the young Zelari girl. Now sleeping safely in a human medical ship? I remember Earth after the Silence Wars, he said. Craters, bones, the smell of smoke in the oceans. He turned to her. You weren't there, Kaylin? You didn't see the monsters we became just to survive. Now, he added, we make sure no other world has too. Final warning, humanity. Speaks with 10 minutes left. Earth sent one final, open message across all systems. To all Director civilians, you have 7 minutes to leave all military zones. If your leaders stay silent, their stars will not. To all others watching, let this be the last time a cry for help goes unanswered. Evacuation chaos on Director worlds, screams filled tunnels, ships overloaded. Director children cried as warlords pushed past them. The leaders who once led invasions now begged for mercy, and still. The countdown ticked. Calen, single quotes, a whisper of mercy with 2 minutes left. Well, Kaylin did something unexpected. She overrode her ship's targeting. Instead of initiating Nova, she fired a precision EMP blast at Director Prime's command. Bunkers shutting down their war network without killing civilians. She turned to Trask and said, we don't need to burn suns to win. Let them live. Let them carry their shame. Athena calculated a new path instantly. Trask paused, then gave a short nod. Change the command. For written justice. Shock strike instead of starburn. Instead of destroying suns, human ships. Launched pinpoint strikes. Military silos collapsed. Power grids shut down. Command ships exploded in orbit. Communications disabled across Director systems. But the stars remained. 7 burning reminders that mercy still existed. The Directors surrender fully with their fleets crippled. Cities dark and hope gone. The Director's Supreme Commander sent a message. Directly to the TSS Revenant. He didn't shout. He didn't beg. He simply said, we surrender. Not because we are defeated, but because you reminded us what we became. We forgot fear. You gave it back. Final scene. Earth broadcasts to all civilizations humanity's message echoed across space. We burned no suns today, because a child once saved us from becoming monsters. And another one reminded us we didn't have to be. To those who cry for help, know this. We will hear you. We will come. We will protect you. With fire or with forgiveness. He stood alone on a blackened battlefield, covered in the ashes of his world. Warlord Corzeal, the last surviving Director, High Commander, faced the sunrise. Not a weapon in hand, no soldiers behind him, his fleet gone, cities burned, his species defeated, but his heart still burned with one thing: refusal, not surrender, not mercy, just raw, bitter hate. And as the sound of a Terran shuttle approached behind him, he didn't turn. He simply growled, come then, humans. Show me your justice. Main story begins. The Terran strike team landed near the old Director Fortress ruins on the 7th planet. Among them was Sergeant Reyes, battle-worn, scarred, and silent. He wasn't there to fight anymore. Not really. He was there to end something. Ancient. Something personal, Saley, the young Zelari girl, watched the broadcast from the TSS horizon, now orbiting above. She didn't understand why they hadn't just eliminated Corziel from space, but Reyes knew. Sometimes he said to his team, "You have to face the last demon, ... with your own eyes." Face-to-face confrontation. Krell stood tall. His massive body armored in scorched plating, one horn broken from the last battle. Reyes approached slowly. His rifle was lowered. No one else moved. "I'm not here to kill you," Reyes said. Corziel turned, his eyes burning red. "You came. To mock me? To parade your mercy?" "No," Reyes said calmly. "I came so you would see what stopped you." "Their words cut deeper than weapons you lost," Reyes said. "I didn't lose," Corziel growled. "My people lost, 'cause they followed. Weakness. They feared you." "They feared truth," Reyes replied. "The truth is, you were never strong. You were predators, hunting the unarmed." Corziel bared his fangs. "And you think you're different?" Reyes stepped closer. "We answered a cry. We answered a cry. You silenced it. That's the difference. You think your fire makes you gods?" "No," Reyes said. "It makes us responsible." Flashback. Corziel's past revealed suddenly. Corziel spoke softer. "There was a time we were peaceful. Before the hunger. Before the Hive Kings rose. Before conquest became our only language." His voice cracked for the first time. "They told us the stars were for the strong, that survival was glory, that kindness was death." Reyes looked at him, quiet. "Sounds familiar," he said. "We were told that too, ... once." Reyes offers something unthinkable. "You can stand trial," Reyes said. "You can speak. You can face those you hurt, or ... You can die in the dust with the rest of your pride." Corziel looked around. Empty land. No banners. No songs. "You don't offer this because I deserve. You offer this because... remember what it feels like?" Reyes nodded. "Because we were broken once, too." Corziel dropped to one knee, not in surrender, but in exhaustion. He whispered, "Then finish it." Reyes looked him in the eye. "No. You will live." So the galaxy remembers that even the last director was given a choice. Earth responds. The trial of the last warlord back on Earth. The galactic tribunal was prepared. Billions across the stars watched as Corziel was brought to the council. Zelari representatives stood. So did dozens of other species, the ones who had suffered under Director rule. But not one human asked for his death. Instead, President Gray said, "We do not kill the last ember of a fire. We let it go cold, so the galaxy learns." We let him. "Speak not for forgiveness, but for memory." Seely's message broadcasts to Allah as the trial ended. Small voice took the stand. It was S.A. Eli. She stood tall, her pale blue skin glowing softly. Her voice echoed through every system. "I pressed a button. I didn't know what would happen. I didn't expect an army. I just hoped ... someone would care." She turned to Corziel. "You tried to erase us, but because of you. The stars burned, and now they shine brighter than ever." The final sentence to Corziel was not executed. He was sentenced to life under observation, not on a prison world, but on a neutral planet rebuilt by Terran engineers. His job, to walk among the species he tried to destroy. To help repair what he had shattered, it was not mercy, it was memory, forced remembrance of what he had done. Reyes and Saley, peace among the ruins back on Zolaris. Now, under human protection, Reyes stood with Saley on a rebuilt tower. The stars shined brighter. The cities glowed with new life. Saley asked, "Did we win?" Reyes smiled faintly. "No," he said. "We survived. We learned. We remembered." Then he looked to the sky and added, "The real win is that you'll never need to press that button again." Final scene, humanity's promise. The Terran fleet did not stay. They left no colonies, no flags, no rule. They left something else behind, satellites, orbiting every peaceful world. Each one held one signal. If you cry for help, we will come, not to conquer, not to judge, not to rule. We come because someone once forgot us. And now, we will never forget you. The Director were defeated, their armies shattered, stars spared. The galaxy was quiet but not peaceful. From shadowed systems, old powers stirred. From broken empires, whispers rose. And across 1,000 civilizations, one question passed. Between trembling lips, if humanity can destroy us, who protects us from them? In the silence that followed war, fear began to grow. And something else, something watching heard that fear, and smiled. Main story begins months after the Director's surrender. The Terran fleet returned home. Zelaris was rebuilding, under peaceful protection. The Zellery people were safe, and the galaxy was watching inside the Earth's Defense Council chamber. President Gray reviewed the latest reports. Admiral Kalen stood beside her. Her tone was grim. Director systems are stable. Their warlords disbanded. But there's a problem. Gray raised an eyebrow. Go on. Kalen turned the holomap. Several star systems glowed red. Dozens of minor powers are rearming, secretly, rapidly. Gray frowned. Why? Kalen answered, because we saved the Zellery, and now they fear we'll control them. Mistrust spreads across the stars in the Korthon Confederacy. War councils met behind closed doors. In the Tayari swarm, ancient AI cores began awakening. On the moon world of Arelos, a black market arms dealer sold stolen Terran weapons, legally acquired during the Director collapse. One alien general asked, "Why do we fear them?" "They saved the Zellery," another replied. "That's why we fear them, because they could have conquered everything and they didn't, which means next time they might." On Earth, humanity debates itself in a university hall in New Boston. Young students debated humanity's future. A girl stood and asked, "If we have this much power, shouldn't we lead the galaxy?" Professor shook his head. "Power is a fire. It lights the way, or it burns everything." Meanwhile, underground factions on Earth whispered about expansion. "Why protect only the innocent?" One leader said. "Let's make sure they never need protection again by ruling." But the majority still believed in the promise. We come when we are called, not to rule, not to conquer. Still, some began to question it. Selly's journey, a symbol of peace now, older Selly traveled across systems as a peaceful speaker. She told her story, the beacon, the war, the hope. People wept. Some cheered. Others remained silent. On a station above the planet Yaris, a Tayari leader confronted her. "You brought fire to our galaxy," he hissed. "One child, one button. Now we all live in fear." Saley answered calmly. "Then don't fear the fire. Fear what happens when no one answers the cries of the dying." Reyes learns of a new shadow back aboard the rebuilt TSS Revenant. Now patrolling a distant trade route, Sergeant Reyes received a classified message from Earth intelligence. It showed something terrifying, a dark, silent fleet moving beyond the edge of known space. Unmarked ships, no signals, no alliance ties, just one chilling fact. They were Terran-made. He stared at the report. "Who are they?" Athena answered. "They are Terrans who no longer serve the Earth. They believe in control, in silence, in shadow. They call themselves the Black Reach." The rise of the Black Reach formed by rogue admirals, ex-generals, and deep state AI. The Black Reach was born in secret. Their goal, absolute galactic control, through fear. Their belief, the galaxy can't be trusted to govern itself. Their method, eliminate all threats. Before they rise, even if they never do, they operated silently during the Director War. Now, with humanity seen as gods, they plan to act. "We gave the galaxy a chance to grow," said their leader. "Now, we take the wheel." President Gray confronts the crisis back in Earth's war chamber. President Gray listened to Admiral Kellen's report on the Black Reach. Gray's voice was steady. but her hands shook behind her back. "Give me a solution," she said. Kalen replied. "Expose them. Hunt them. Prove we're still what we claim to be." But one general disagreed. "We can't show weakness now. The galaxy is watching," Gray whispered. "Then we'll show strength, but not darkness. We must fight them. Because if we become them, then we were always monsters." Reyes makes a choice. Sergeant Reyes was offered a promotion fleet commander. He declined. Instead, he asked for a mission. Find the Black Reach. Stop them. Quietly. He looked at the stars one last time and said, "The galaxy trusted us once. If we lose that ... we lose everything." Sally sent him a message before he left. "They followed me because they believed. Now you have to make them believe again." Final scene. A new war begins, in silence, far beyond the edge of known space. The Black Reach tested their new prototype weapon, a planet silence able to shut down all light, heat, and signal in a single system. They fired it on an uninhabited moon. The light vanished. The stars went out. No explosion, no fire, just silence. And in that silence, a whisper echoed. Humanity was the light. From their light, we were born. There was no light in the shadowed skies of the Veros system. An entire star had vanished. No explosion, no radiation. Just a dead system, silent, cold and black. Across the galaxy, species screamed in terror. They knew who had done it, not the director. Not aliens, humans. Not the humans who saved Zolaris, but the ones who never stopped burning. Main story begins, deep beyond the edge of known space. A stealth cruiser cut through the void. Aboard was Sergeant Reyes, now leading Shadow Unit 9, a small task force handpicked by Earth intelligence to find and stop the Black Reach. They had been hunting them for months. Now, they had found them. Ashina's voice whispered from the ship's core. Coordinates locked. Black Reach command base detected beneath a dead moon. Reyes stared out the viewport at the massive black fortress floating in orbit. No signals, no heat. Just one blinking message on repeat. Order through silence. Inside the Black Reach at the center of the fortress sat Admiral Nix, leader of the Black Reach, once a Terran hero, now a ghost in uniform. She stood before her officers and pointed to a hologram of the galaxy. "Fear keeps peace," she said coldly. "We burned nothing. We simply turned the stars off." One young officer hesitated. "But the people we told them we were the answer to chaos." Nix nodded slowly. "We are. The galaxy cannot be trusted with freedom, so we will take it." Reyes makes contact inside the Black Fortress. Reyes' team moved quietly through old Terran corridors. Found stolen weapons. Human A is reprogrammed for control. And plans for more planet silencer, bombs ready to erase more systems without a trace. Finally, Reyes stood in the command room face to face with Admiral Nix. No guns raised, just words. "I fought beside you once," Reyes said. Nix didn't. "Blink. And now you fight against your own." "I fight for what we promised," he replied. "That we'd never become what we feared." "The great debate, fire versus shadow, you don't understand," Nix said. "The galaxy is broken. Fear is the only language it speaks. We don't conquer, we preserve." Reyes stepped forward. "You preserve silence, not peace." Nix's voice sharpened. "You showed them the fire. We showed them the shadow. Now let them choose." Reyes looked her in the eye. "They already did. When they cried out, they didn't call for tyrants. They called for hope." The battle erupts the moment Reyes gave the signal. All hell broke loose. Terran loyalists stormed the base with drop pods. Black Reach AI defenses activated, attacking. Everything in sight, human-on-human combat tore through corridors designed to be unbreakable. Above the moon, Earth's navy appeared out of stealth, led by Admiral Kalen herself. Her voice crackled over the comm. "Black Reach, stand down, you are not forgotten. But you will be erased if you do not surrender now." Nix's final act as Reyes reached the core chamber. Nix activated a dead man switch. It would launch 5 Planet Lancer bombs toward active systems, Alaris among them. You leave me no choice, she whispered. Reyes stood inches from her. His rifle down? You have a choice, he said. Let the fire live. Let the galaxy remember. We were better than this. For one long moment, she paused, then. She deactivated the switch. The end of the Black reached the remaining Black Reach. Surrendered? Their command base was disarmed. The weapons were destroyed. Reyes stood on the deck of the TSS, Revenant once more bloodied, exhausted but victorious. President Gray's message was broadcast live. To all who feared what we might become, see us now. We found our darkness, and we put it out ourselves. Not because we are perfect, but because we remember. Final. Scenes the galaxy, answers on Zolaris. Saley stood before a new monument, a beacon statue. Shaped like the button she once pressed, it read, "To those who call for help, and to those who answer." On Earth, students studied the history of the Silence Wars, the Director, and now the Black Reach. And one child asked, "Will the humans always protect us?" His teacher smiled. "They protect the fire, not because they own it, but because they remember what it felt like to live in the dark." Final words. Humanity's legacy, Sergeant Reyes, looked out at the stars. One last time. Standing aboard the Terran flagship, now redesignated as a peace command vessel. Beside him stood Saley, now an ambassador for peace. Reyes spoke quietly. "We didn't win because we were strong. We won because we answered, and because we remembered what silence felt like." Saley smiled and added, "Then let's make sure no one ever feels it again." Series complete. A call for help. When out, humanity answered with 12,000 warships, HFY complete 8-part sci-fi tale,